Hey, it's Eldon here. I want to give you an example here of some of the things that we're going to be teaching you as we go through this. So this is kind of the first video that I want to make about a new principle here that can be super valuable to you in your finances, and I'm going to promise you this can be valuable to you everywhere else in your life. And the crazy thing about this is it's a principle about principles, because I'm going to tell you a short story here. I'm one of these people that my whole life I've been a reader. I love to learn and study and grow and those kind of things. I've been somebody who's been a business owner and an entrepreneur and trying to chase down success in that arena and all of those kind of things. But somewhere along, about the time I turned 45, somebody taught me something really eye-opening. And I can't believe it took this long. But I'm finding that the more people that I talk to, the more people that I see that don't understand this fundamental piece of information in their lives. And it impacts everything that you do. And that is this. That is, what is a principle? And you're going, well, I know, I get that. And I did too, I thought. I used the word all the time. I talked about it in context, etc., etc. But I had never really sat down and thought about, what does it mean when somebody tells me, I'm going to teach you a new principle here? I don't know. But here's what I found out. That when I really got to understand that there are success principles out there that govern every area of your life. And right now, on this website we've been talking about finances, but I'm telling you there are principles out there that govern your relationships. There's principles that govern how you serve other people. There are principles that govern the results that you get in your fun, that in everything that you do. And a principle is this. It's not just an idea, it's not a concept, it's not this. A principle says if you do this, you get this result every time. And the best thing that I've come up with to illustrate this point is a simple little thing called the law of gravity. You know what? Let me back up a minute. Here's where the real problem comes in our lives right now, is there is a movement out there in our world today to teach us that there's no such thing as absolute truth. And I'm going to prove to you that that's wrong right here, right now. Totally wrong, and you can take it to the bank, okay? Because this principle exists out there called the law of gravity, and it's the simplest thing in the world that we can demonstrate. And just let me carry on with what I'm going to explain here, and you'll get what I'm talking about. So right here in my hand, I've got a rock, a little pebble, and it's just a common rock, everything else, but I'm going to show you something here. If I hold this rock out here, get the camera around where you can see it better, and I hold it out in front of me, and I let it go. I'm going to put it over here so I don't hit myself with it. If I open my fingers and let it go, what happened to that rock? It fell down, didn't it? Straight towards the earth, and that's what happened to it. Let me try it again. I got another one right here. I'm going to take it over here. I'm going to do the same thing with it. I'm going to hold it up here. I'm going to open my fingers. What happened to it? It fell straight down on the ground, right? How about one more time? You don't believe me? Here's another rock. Watch this. I bring it over here, open my fingers. What happened to it? It fell straight down to the ground. Now I'm here to tell you something. If I lined up 1,000 of my friends out here on this baseball diamond where I'm standing today, I gave each of them 1,000 rocks, and we took the rest of the day to hold those rocks out there in front of us and open our fingers. What's going to happen to every single one of those rocks? It's going to fall straight towards the ground and hit the ground. Is there any chance? 1,000 people dropping 1,000 rocks, that's 1,000,000 experiments that we could do on that principle today. Is there any chance that one of those rocks out of those 1,000,000 is going to do something besides fall straight down to the ground? Your answer is no, and you know that, I know that, any reasonable person knows that. If you don't change the circumstances, the result will always be the same. If you do this, the result will always be this. If you hold a rock out here and you open your fingers, the result will always be that it will fall straight to the ground. That's an absolute truth. So that completely debunks the whole thought that there's no such thing as absolute truth. Now, if that thing is true, what else would be true in our lives? There are hundreds of thousands of principles that govern everything that we do in our lives. And I'm telling you, the reason that most of us get our fanny kicked in our finances, the reason we have bad relationships with our children, with our spouses, those kind of things, the reason we don't get along with our neighbors, the reason that we have any of the trials and pains that we have in our life is because there are principles that we're not aware of that are being violated. And we are trying to do this and get a different result than what the actual principle says the result is. We're thinking we're going to drop that rock and it's going to fly 40 feet and land over there. But that won't happen. And we're doing that in our lives all the time, everywhere. If you look at your life and you say, what are the biggest stresses in my life right now? What are the pains, the trials, the troubles, the problems I have? I will guarantee you that somewhere in there, there's a principle that's being violated where you think you're dropping the rock and you're expecting it to fly 40 feet away. And the only way that we can solve our problems is to learn what those principles are that we're violating. So that if we really want the rock to land 40 feet away from us, we know we have to take it and throw it. We have to apply a different principle to it. And those are the things that impact our lives. Now, every time I teach this to somebody, most people have the same reaction that I would have had the first time. That's, yeah, I get what you're saying. I know. I'm telling you to go home and think about this. You sit down and ponder in your life. Is it possible that there are principles that I don't understand that are hurting me? And the bigger thing is it possible that there are things that I always thought were true that aren't true? And I'm basing an entire thinking process on a concept that's not actually true. Therefore, I'm getting a result that I don't want in my life. I'm going to leave you with that. I challenge you to ponder that. Think about it. Pray about it. Dig into the thought processes that come, and you're going to find that you'll start looking around. In fact, what happened for me as soon as I learned this, every time I would hear somebody say, I'm going to teach you a new principle, all of a sudden before, I kind of, okay, I'm listening. But now, every time I hear somebody say, I'm going to teach you a new principle, my ears perk up. My antennas go out. I'm like, oh, ho, here's one of those. If you do this, this is what will happen things. I want to know those. I want to know every single principle that I can get in my life so that I can change my thinking processes so I stop getting the dumb results that come because I think I know everything. You see what I mean? So that's my challenge to you right now. In this video, go home and think about this. Ponder it a lot, and I'll bet you're going to come up with some really interesting answers in your life.